When it comes to music, it doesn't really matter whether you listen to hip hop or pop or R&B or whatever else. All of us like some variety. Despite our huge amount of curiosity, all of us still have a consciously or subconsciously developed list of some artists that we know are a safe pick to give us a great song, although we haven't checked them out in a while. From that list, I would say is where most of us get our favorites from. Now, if you're an artist watching this, how could you become somebody's favorite? It's a great question. Now, here are some things I have written down in my notebook. Now, in my opinion, for you to become an artist, you need to get on that safe spot list. And to do that, you need to actually make good music. Imagine that. You need to make good, appealing music, and other than that, your music needs to be constantly elevating. You shouldn't be staying at the same level all the time because your audience is not. Meaning that if you are at the same spot at one time, you might not be at the next. So you should pay attention and elevate your style so that you can keep up with your audience development. Another thing you need to have to be on the safe pick list is you need to be publicly well known so that the person knows that you're not just a safe pick for them, but for the people around them as well. Now, there are some artists who have all of this and are still overshadowed by people way worse than them in each of these categories. And the person who I really want to emphasize right now is Offset. Now, you probably know Offset as one of the three members of the group Migos. However, I feel like he is one of the most underrated solo artists that we currently have in 2025. Now, how did I get into Offset? Last year was the first time I really had an encounter with him after hearing the song he has with 21 Savage and Metro called Ric Flair Drip. It's a very popular song. However, I just heard it last year after finishing Donda and my Spotify going into autoplay. I didn't really play it that much afterwards, but I noticed that it was quite catchy and his part sounded very well to me. A couple of weeks ago, I was reminded by a TikTok that the song Say My Grace off of Offset's album Set It Off from 2023 still exists. Because I knew that it was a good song, however I never listened to it completely. So just a couple of weeks ago, I finally checked it out. And that led me into a semi-obsession with Offset. I really liked that one song and I was playing it a lot, which then led into me listening to his new album Chiari a couple of days ago, and boy was that amazing. Now when it comes to Chiari, I didn't really know what to expect, as I knew it was gonna be a great album. However, I had never heard that much of Offset before, so I didn't really know what exactly I was going in for. What I found was a similar sound to what I had previously heard, however it was absolutely not repetitive. Some of you probably know that I'm a really big hater of Love Lasts Forever, because the album to me is super repetitive, and although some songs are good, they are completely overshadowed by the fact that a shit ton of other songs are terrible on it. This problem, however, does not exist with Chiari. Chiari has a lot of songs that go into Offset's strengths, and all of the other songs still sound absolutely amazing, even though they are pretty similar to the bangers on the album. In general, in my opinion, Chiari has a ton of replay value in songs like Back in That Mode with YFN Lucci, which is my favorite song of it, Boris with Jid, which is absolutely crazy with that beat and choir sample, Different Species with Gunna is also pretty good as a chill song, and History off of the Deluxe is absolutely perfect in my opinion. Now the whole vibe switch up of the album that happens 2/3 in it, where it goes from these hyped motivational songs to this kind of like slower, more relaxed, a little bit melancholic type of vibe is very interesting in my opinion, and that also happens in the Deluxe when you go to those like last 8 songs I think they are, and you see like the first couple of them are pretty hyped up. Like History is pretty good, Bodies, the remix by Benny X is absolutely amazing, but all of those are very good, and then the last couple of them are also a little bit chill and melancholic, mirroring what happens in the album as a whole. I love that. And overall, Chiari is just a great example of an album that we all know is good, but nobody actually talks about it, so the new people do not understand it, and that's with me included. I heard a lot of people, actually didn't hear a lot of people, I saw news that Chiari was dropping. I saw the release trailer and I saw that people announced it, and I didn't say anything else. I didn't hear anybody say that Chiari was as good as it was, and it was way better than other albums that got coverage this year. What I was talking about when I said that Offset was being overshadowed by people way worse than him is I was talking about people like Gunna, who was actually on Different Species, as I already said. If you heard the last one, which I didn't listen to completely, but I heard some songs, it sounds pretty much the exact same as Gunna's previous album. However, with Chiari, it's completely different. Chiari does not sound like Set It Off at all. They're both great, and they both share in Offset's strengths. However, they do not sound similar, and the content feels fresh whenever you listen to each of them. It's not the same with Gunna, and people would still say that Gunna is their favorite rapper more than Offset. Offset has the same lyrical ability, he has the same flows, he has the same voice. He doesn't have the same voice, but his voice is still as good. And yeah, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you not speak about the person who is clearly better? Like, that's objective. You might prefer Gunna, but Offset is 100% better than Gunna. Why do you not speak about Offset? Like, people would speak about him as the best member out of Migos. However, who really cares now that Takeoff is gone? It's not like we don't care about Migos, like we do. We like Migos. However, Offset as a solo artist is criminally underrated, at least in my opinion. Now, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite when I say this, but he's not my favorite artist as well. I would like somebody like Cardi, for example, but that's not because I don't think that Offset makes good music. I just think that Cardi makes better music. However, somebody like Gunna or Young Thug, even in 2025, they make the same genre. So if that's your favorite artist, Gunna or Thugger, you can't say that Offset is not better than both of them, because that's the music you're listening to. When I'm listening to somebody like Cardi or Ken or Destroy Lonely, I'm looking for a different vibe, which Offset does not fulfill for me. But even though he does not, that's the thing, he's that good that I adapt the vibe that I'm looking for to whatever he's made, because I know that whatever he's made is actually great and I love it. Because I had switched to multiple music platforms this year, after listening to Chiari, this might have messed up my Spotify Wrapped like permanently. I don't think I'm going to be able to recover unless I do it intentionally. I really liked Back in That Mode, and I have streamed it a ton, like way more than any Cardi or Ken or Lone or I don't know what song. And I also listen to like other albums. Don't say like I've only listened to Cardi and Offset and I think that Offset is great because I've only checked out on the type. I also listened to Scooty when it came out, like same day. There's actually, when I'm recording it, a deluxe just dropped today and I haven't listened to the deluxe. However, I listened to Scooty and I really liked Scooty. However, it obviously had its flaws that made it worse than Chiari. Chiari's replay value is way more. Like, you can go to any song and replay it on Chiari. However, on Scooty, the only song that I'm actually gravitating towards is Yuck. And that's pretty much it, like nothing else. There were good songs, however, I just don't gravitate towards them, like I do with Chiari. Yeah, that's kind of my message for today. I just want to let you all know that we should be appreciating the good artists that make great music and have been making it for a while. And even though we all know that they're good, we should be mentioning them more. And we shouldn't just focus on what is actually bad. Because, like, honestly, the only album that I've heard get talked about a lot because people think it's great this year is the Clips album, which I haven't listened to. But other than the fact that it's kind of an old Unk album with like lyrical bass, I don't feel like people have given it props for anything else. But yeah, that's like the only album I've heard people talk about because it's good. People talk about Scooty because they didn't like Scooty. People talk about the last one because they think it was a bad response. People talk about Jack Boys 2 because they didn't like Jack Boys 2, although Jack Boys 2 was great. People talk about music because they thought it was disappointing, even though music is absolutely album of the year this year. People also talk about Don't Tap the Glass because they like it a little bit. Like, for some reason, I don't know why that just got straight up missed by most of the media, but the people who talked about it just said it was disappointing. So literally nothing gets talked about that is actually good. So I think we need to low-key change that. We need to start talking about the good albums of the year, like Chiari, Music, the Clips album, even though I haven't listened to it. Maybe it's good. We need to actually start talking about those and stop just judging and focusing on what's bad. And yeah, hope you enjoyed my little yap session. I'm planning on doing more of these because it's honestly the content I enjoy making, and that's low-key why I have started this channel. But yeah, if you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe with notifications on, because come on, I'm not gonna bombard you now. I don't post that much. Also, comment down below what you think. Do you think that Offset is actually as underrated as I say he is? Which you should be agreeing because I really gave you the facts, but you know, you're allowed your own opinion. Let me know what you want me to talk about or react to or whatever else. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.